Wings of Fire, if you're not familiar, is a mega best-selling, page-turning adventure series written by author Tui T. Sutherland, which focuses on young dragons fulfilling prophecies in a fantasy world. Now with 14 books in the series, including graphic novels, spin-offs, this world-building series as well, on fire.
So, Lizette, speaking of fire and great fantasy novels, Sayantani DasGupta will be joining Tui in this event. So, if you don't know, Sayantani is the author of the critically acclaimed Kiranmala and the Kingdom Beyond series. Her new novel is still set in that world. Force of Fire continues to draw from traditional Bengali folklore, as well as history, science, and lots of humor.
It's awesome. Definitely check it out.
So now let's welcome in Sayantani.
Yes.
And Tui. Yes, how are you, ladies? Welcome. It's so good to see you both.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Hi. Hi, Sayantani.
So thrilled to be here on Tui's birthday. Did you all know that, Lizette and Michael?
Yay, the chat has been set. Everyone is wishing Tui a happy birthday in the chat.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm actually wearing my son got me a necklace that says Mom.
Oh, yay.
So morning.
I have my little tea candle for you, Tui.
That's
awesome. Really cute. Thank you so much.
We're going to get started. Sayantani, go ahead. Let's take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lizette and Michael. And all of you in the chat, please remember to wish Tui a very, very happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear brilliant Tui. Happy birthday to you. I didn't light the tea candle for fear of, it being a hazard, but you can pretend blow it out if you'd like to.
That would be very dramatic. Like talk about the fire theme.
Exactly. So since we both enjoy fire, let me tell you what this next On Fire half hour will comprise of. So, dear fans of the Wings of Fire series, Tui and I will be talking about her series for about 10 minutes. Then I'll be taking your questions, which Tui will be answering, and I'll be taking them from the chat. And then at the end, as Lizette and Michael hinted, we are having a trivia game. So put your Wings of Fire knowledge hats on, because we will be having a trivia game which you can join through Kahoot, and I'll explain about that in a minute. Or you can just join in from your computer for fun. But before you join Kahoot, make sure that you have your adult or guardian or parent there with you to do that. All right. So, Tui, I am always thrilled to talk with you. The first question that I had for you was, how did the brilliant, hold on, let me hold up some examples of how did the brilliant Wings of Fire series begin? I mean, I started my Kiranmala series because they were the books I wanted to read, but I never had when I was little. How about you? How did the series begin?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little bit like that, actually. I was, because I've always loved dragons. I think they're the coolest. But most of the books I'd read, like the dragons didn't get to be sort of the heroes of the story. They were always the sidekicks or the bad guys or the transportation. There's amazing dragon books out there that I love so very much. But I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to write a whole series where it's the dragons having all the fun and fulfilling the prophecies, and the humans are just there to get eaten sometimes. So that was kind of my initial thinking, how do I build a series around the dragons? And then it sort of spun out from there. I actually wanted to also hold up the most recent book, which is this is a workbook sort of guide to writing and drawing. So it's got a whole lot of prompts and some notes from me about advice on writing, I guess. So if you're curious, if you want to write your own dragon stories or any other kind of stories, maybe that would be helpful. But mostly I love dragons, and I really wanted to write some like a big epic fantasy that was also funny. That was also actually very important to me. I think you do that really well in the Kiranmala books. They're hilarious.
So I also really enjoy being funny and silly, right, in the Kiranmala books, as well as having some fiery adventures. So do you think that writing fantasy is a kind of particular kind of calling? Like, what drew you? I know that you like dragons, but were you always a big fantasy reader? Is there something in particular that drew you to fantasy?
Well, actually, it's interesting because I wrote a lot of books before starting Wings of Fire, and I had sort of tried out a bunch of different genres, but I kept coming back to fantasy. It was always my favorite, and it's definitely. I also read everything. Like I read all the genres, except like science books, maybe. But fantasy is like something that I definitely keep coming back to, and especially with writing it because. I feel like there's a lot of room to like make the stakes really high, to have really exciting things happen, to like still have like relatable relationships and character problems, but then set it in this like enormous magical setting where everything feels very dramatic and all kinds of fun, exciting twists can happen that are like a metaphor for what's going on in the real world, but doesn't have to be as like I don't know. I feel like if a lot of the things that happen to the dragons, if they happen to humans, would be a lot more upsetting. So, but getting to write into a fantasy world, like I can play with all of that, which is really cool.
It's what I love about fantasy too, and I love reading it as well. So you have now written, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this number is a big number. You have written 14 Wings of Fire novels, is that right? And 4 graphic novel adaptations? Is that correct?
Plus the 2 Legends books. So it's actually 16 novels. Yeah.
So did you plan on writing that many novels in the beginning, or has your vision changed over time?
No, it started with 5. It was going to be a series of 5 books, like books 1 through 5. I'd have like one prophecy and we deal with them. Sorry, my puppy wants to say hi. Say hi. Hello.
Hi, puppy.
You're over there. Say hello. No, just hi to me. Okay. Okay. This is Bo. He says hi.
Hi, Bo. Hey, Bo. Did you have a plan for Wings of Fire?
You weren't even
Did you
born
plot it all out?
Started. You were not born yet. So anyway, so I figured 5 books, and I'd have a plan that sort of like started and ended. And then as I was writing, I think like books 4 and 5, I started talking to my editor about like what could happen next, and like what if we stayed in this world a bit longer and like brought some new dragons in, and how like what the next arc could be. So that's sort of how it's been planned, is in these like 5 book arcs, and then the 2 like Legends books were inspired by stuff that was happening in the main series, where I was like, oh, I need to tell you the backstory of this character and I need an entire book to do it. Could I please write an entire other book? And she was like, okay, sure. So that's kind of how the 2 Legends books came in. So I'm working on book 15 now. That's the end of this current arc.
Oh, wow. And you have it, I mean, can you tell us, or is it a secret what happens after book 15?
Oh, I don't know yet. If I knew, I could maybe tell you. But I've been very focused on trying to finish 15 because it's a lot of threads. Like whenever I do a 5 book arc, I'm always like very excited about book 1, like kind of struggle with book 2, very excited about book 3 because I know there's going to be this big climax at the end of it. And then like, book 4 is always hard because I'm like, I can't solve any problems yet. I have to like just make them suffer some more. But also like the character in that 4th book still has to do something to help save the world. And then the 5th book is usually like really exciting because I can finally solve the problems, but then I have to figure out how to solve the problems. And make sure I don't forget anything or like any characters I've dropped along the way. So it's very much like I have these recurring packing dreams where especially like the closer I get to my deadline, where it's like the plane is about to leave. I'm running around my house. I can't find all the stuff or fit it in my suitcase. I'm like, I think this might be a metaphor for my book right here.
It might be. So in a couple minutes, audience members, I will be taking questions from you. So be sure to put them in the chat, or maybe even in like a minute, I'll be taking them from you. So what has been, speaking of readers, and speaking of reader responses, Tui, because I just asked readers to put some questions in the chat, what's been the most surprising response you've gotten from readers about the series?
I don't know. I guess for anyone, probably it's a surprise when people are like excited about what you've written. I don't know. Like for me, like I'm like, oh, it's just me hanging out in like the middle of the night writing about dragons, and the fact that people are excited and want to talk about them afterwards is very delightful and surprising. So I I don't know if there's been a more, I mean, I just love it. I'm just so grateful for all the people who are reading the books.
And the continuous love for this series, right? People adore this series. Okay, so we have a couple of interesting questions coming up in the chat. So I think I am going to save one of my questions and ask you a reader question, and then maybe go back to my question in a minute. So this is from Linda Jewell, who asks you, who's your favorite dragon? Are you allowed to say, Tui?
I mean, like, my editor won't mind if I say, but the dragons might.
Right? It's like having more than one kid. You can't say.
Exactly.
Are you allowed?
I'm like, oh, they'll be so sad if I don't pick them. I like writing the funny characters. I like writing the characters that like say everything that pops into their head, which is not something that I tend to do. So characters like Peril or Glory are always really fun. I really liked writing Clearsight because it was very interesting to try and think about someone who can see like many different futures and is trying to figure out how to best calibrate her decisions to get to the right one. That was like, I mean, I think that's sort of how it feels to be a writer. You're like, oh, what's the next part of this story? Like, how do I write this to get to where I want it to go and not mess it up? So, but I don't know what I know. It's hard to say favorite. I mean, the ones I always say the ones I'd want to hang out with are like Clay and Sunny and, Blue. They would probably be the least likely to eat me.
Well, least likely to eat you versus able to do the things that you're not able to do. I like that as the categories because I also I really like my character Pinky because she's sassy and brash and like says all the things that I don't think I would be able to say and get away with in real life. So I like that as a category. That's very good. Okay, so this is a question from, excuse me, Nelu, if I mispronounce your name, Nelu Marginian. Who is book 15 in the perspective of? So book 15, y'all, is out next year, okay? So
fingers crossed. It is not finished, but it is almost finished. I have been writing it like I shut myself in a room and didn't do anything but write for the last month, and it's almost done. It is, and so I can tell you, it's from Luna's perspective, which is Blue's sister. I've seen a sketch of the cover. I think it's going to be really beautiful. I'm very excited. And yeah, that might be as much as I can say about it. It's, if you remember where book 14 left off, all those dragons are together at the beginning of book 15, and it's all Luna's perspective on each of them. So.
Nice. All right. So this is a question from Glynis Louise Bubenzer. Who is Cricket based off of?
Oh, interesting. It's interesting because, like, when I write the dragons, I'm always trying to give each of them like a little piece of me to sort of latch myself onto, so I know like why I care about this character, and then hopefully other people will find something relatable in them. So with Cricket, it's definitely the like she's a reader. She's someone who is interested in how things work, and she is also very interested in like what is true and what is not true and how you figure out like who to trust and how to figure that out in a very complicated world where a lot of people are telling you things you're not sure what to believe. So
like in the real world, right?
Yeah,
like in the real world.
Like my journalist character, like she is someone who I think, would as a human, she'd be out like writing the news stories that we all need to know. So that's how I feel.
Because it's really important to figure out what's true and what's not and who to believe and who not to. And right, I know that your readers, I'm sure, feel that as well, right, in their hearts. So this is a related question from Kelly Gatto. And this is actually a great question for any author. Do you have goals for each character as they develop? So I'll say that Pinky, my character, who's really like sassy and a little self-centered when she starts my book, Force of Fire, my goal for her was not to make her perfect, but just to have her learn, how to love her own power and also learn how to be generous. So it wasn't about taking like a sassy, brash character and making her perfect and good all the time, but really about just making the character the best version of themselves that they can be. Do you think about your characters that way? Do you think about each character differently in terms of character arc?
A little bit. Yeah, I definitely am always trying to think like at the beginning of each book, I try to think like where are they starting and like where do I want them to go and like what are the questions they're going to ask along the way? Like how is their sort of like view of things going to change? So sometimes I talk about like how they change, but it's not always just that. It's not always that they have to like learn something, like sometimes it's that they just need to get, a lot of the times I'd say there's more than one character that just has to get to a place of like accepting themselves the way they are, which is, I feel like a journey that we're always on, everybody all the time. So that's but they don't necessarily by the end of their book, like get there. It's not like, book 2 and we're done with Tsunami. She's like perfect now. Like you were saying. But it is like in each book, I'm hoping that they go through like an interesting arc in terms of like what they see that challenges how they thought about the world and how they thought about themselves and get to a place where like something new, they're seeing things in a slightly new way, if that makes sense.
No, I love it. And I think that that's like kind of figuring out stories and figuring out what's true. I think that's something that all of us are dealing with. Like, how do we not become somebody else, but become the best version of ourselves and discover all the things about ourselves, right? And I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. Ooh, also related. We have a lot of, it's really interesting. I'm wondering, readers, if some of you are writers yourself. I bet you are, because these are some great character development questions that we're getting in the chat. So EJ Morales asks, are any of your characters inspired by family or friends?
Like a little bit. I try not to make any character like too exactly somebody else because then it would be very weird to write anything happening to them, But I'd say the closest is that, I had been imagining my older son when I was writing Clay, who is like the big brother of the first 5 Dragonettes, but he was still a baby when I was writing those. So this was a very much like my vision of him for when he was older. And then I was like, well, now I got to put the little one in somewhere. And I started with Kibble, and I was like, maybe Kibble will be like him. But similarly, my younger son was only like 3 when I was writing books, like starting that arc. So I was like, I think this is what he'll be like. But then I was like, I got to put someone who's really him because he's such an interesting, like, hilarious person. So in book 8, there's a character named Cliff who's like a very young dragonette. And that's very much based on my like 3-year-old at the time, who is full of energy and very like, I'm going to be a star and everybody look at me. So he was really fun to write.
I love it. And do they know it? Do they know that those characters are based off of them?
Absolutely. Although he's very attached to book 3 because that's the one that's dedicated to him. And they, he hasn't read all the way to book 8 yet. So we'll see what he thinks when he gets there.
I love that. Have you ever seen that t-shirt like, I'm a writer, watch out, or I'll put you in my next book?
Yes.
That's kind of what this question was like. All right, so
they still think it's kind of cool to have a writer mom, but they're not teenagers yet. So I'm like treading carefully to the like.
Well, mine are teenagers, and actually, I'll tell you too, we look forward to it. Because the great thing about having teenagers who also love books and love to read and have a writer mom is that they give you great ideas. Like my teenagers help me solve plot problems all the time. Nothing better. It's like having an editorial team in your house. It's the best.
That did happen with book 15. I was talking to my 9-year-old about it, and he like had some really interesting ideas. Like he's brilliant. So I think they both are. But he loves to like talk about stories and like how characters work. So it was really fun. I appreciated it.
Right, exactly. So it's the best. So only look forward to it. Okay, so we have a few more questions, and then remember, listeners and readers and fans, at around 1:25, we are going to start some Wings of Fire trivia. So get your trivia hats on, but about 5 more minutes for questions from you. So Sandra Dostal says, are you making a graphic novel for all the books? And does it take longer to make graphic novels or the full books?
Right now, we're continuing on with them. We're working on, so book 5 is done and is coming out this year. And then we're working on book 6. I think there's a script that's all set. So hopefully I would love to get as far as the Poison Jungle and see all the giant Venus flytraps. So I'm excited about that. I think it does take longer. There's a lot more people involved. the art, it's not just like with the full books, it's like it's my fault when they take a long time. With the graphic novels, it's like, oh, there's like 8 other people that are like involved in this, so it's still often me, but
No, but just in case people don't know, so when an author writes a graphic novel, I believe maybe a couple of panels ago, there were authors who are artists, right? But not all authors are artists as well, and vice versa, right?
Yeah,
not all artists are authors. So it's not necessarily Tui who's drawing these pictures, or is it? Is it you, Tui, who's making these graphic novels?
It's definitely not me.
So there's a whole team you work with.
Right. There's someone who like writes a manuscript for the graphic novel, and then there's someone who does all the art. That's Mike, and he's amazing. And then there's another person who adds the color, which is really cool. So
so the same person doesn't even do the art and do the color?
Right. We have Mike does the art, and then Marta does the color, and they're both it's amazing to see how it all like works together, and how many jobs there are in like graphic novels, like all the different parts that have to come together.
Well, readers, thank you for asking these great questions, because see, I'm learning things. I did not know that. That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, Meredith asks, about a few more minutes, y'all. Meredith Lewis asks, where did you get the ideas for the prophecies? I would just have consulted my teenagers, but where did you get the ideas for the prophecies?
Well, I read a lot of epic fantasy, and so when I started the first 5 books, I was like, well, I feel like there should be a prophecy, but I also want to play with like how much the prophecy actually tells you what to do, and how much you have to make your own destiny, and can you believe the prophecy? It's a whole thing. So I wrote like a very short version of the prophecy to start with, and then I was like, wait, it needs to have a lot more details in order to explain like why these dragons got involved. So I wrote it like longer and longer. I just rewrote it multiple times. And then with the next 2 prophecies, I tried to make them a little more like this might happen. There's sort of the tone of those, like if you don't do something, vague and cryptic. So it's very they're set up in a little more of a like you still get to choose your own destiny. Like these are real prophecies, but you still have to like be the one in charge of making them happen or not happen.
So why did you do that? Was it so that you were playing with this idea of free will and choice?
Yes.
Or was it not to write yourself into like a corner, which dear readers, this is a problem of mine. Like I'm writing all these books in the same universe, and the rules have to make sense, right? And so there's a new flying horse series coming out called The Sky Kingdom that's set in the same universe. But all the rules have to be the same, so I have to be really careful.
Yeah, so of it all.
So is it for that, or was it this idea of free will?
It was both. It's definitely both. I mean, so in book 6, I actually have a dragon who legitimately can see the future. And as I was writing it, that's the beginning of another 5-book arc. And I was like, what have I done? Now I have to have her have visions that will then show up in like books 9 and 10, but I don't know what's going to happen in books 9 and 10. So what am I going to do? So I had to like come up with some themes that I was like, I'm pretty sure this is what this scene is going to mean, but I could tweak it if I need to when we get there, like leave it a little bit like mysterious enough. But I was also very much thinking about like what I believe in free will, and so I wanted the dragons to feel like they were in charge of their own destiny, and I hope the readers do too.
Right, that you can make decisions to make the world and your life and the lives of people around you better, right?
Better. Yeah.
Just based on what you do, right? Based on the little choices you make every day. I love that, Tui. Okay, so one last really important question before we get to the trivia. No, let me rephrase that. It's one last really intriguing question. It's just as important as all 15 plus 4 plus 2 wonderful books. But can you tell us about, drumroll please, the TV show?
Oh my God. I'm so excited, you guys. And it's funny because like I want to be careful not to say any, it's very much still in progress, so I don't want to like mess anything up by saying anything wrong. But what I can tell you is it's going to be on Netflix. Right now they're working on a 10-episode like season, and I get to like so they're in the process, like sort of at the beginning of it. There are like lots and lots of people involved. And I don't know about, I mean, I think people who've been following me for a while know that I love television. Like I'm fascinated by how TV is made because it's so different from books. Like it's not just me in a room and, you know, and my editor, it's like 100 people. So more, way more. But so right now they're at the stage where like the writers, they've like hired all the writers for the show. And I have zoomed into the writer's room to like hang out with them and like listen to what they're talking about. And it is my favorite thing. Oh my God, I want to do it all day. Like, first of all, they're the coolest people. Like, I'm going to just watch everything they ever work on from now on. Cause like, they're all fascinating. And all they do is like, they spend the entire day like talking about my dragons. And I'm like, what? It's amazing.
In great detail, I imagine.
Yeah, they have like all these interesting questions and like, you know, what's this character thinking in this moment and like what would happen, like what else can we figure out about this character that maybe wasn't on the page and like what else is going on in the world. Oh, it's so interesting. Like they're so thoughtful that it makes me really excited. So, you know, there's a lot more work to be done before the show is ready, but I can tell you at least for people who love process and love writing the way I do, like this part is really fun and I'm very excited about it.
I'm excited about, so tell me the truth, are they casting real dragons or are we having, serious, don't laugh, serious question.
Yeah,
are they casting real dragons? Like what's happening?
I mean, all those Game of Thrones dragons aren't busy anymore, right?
Right? They need a job. Okay, I imagine this is animated, right?
Yes.
Is that the answer? Yes. Fair enough, but I had to ask.
And there's still, that's also still very much in the early stages, but the art I've seen is beautiful, and I'm also think everyone's going to really like it. So I'm very excited about that too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm so excited. So, Tui, we have some Wings of Fire trivia, and we are going to play this game with our audience, with our dear viewers. So if you are in the audience, you can play along with the help of an adult. In just a minute, a code is going to appear on the screen. So with your adult present, you can visit www.kahoot.it. So www.kahoot.it on your computer and then enter the code that appeared before. Read codes out loud. 3 codes will be presented on the screen. So we're going to give you a few minutes to enter before the questions start. Don't worry. If you don't want to enter through Kahoot or you don't have an adult with you, that's also fine. You can play along at home for fun. So if you're not able to get in or you don't have an adult present, that's okay. Don't worry. We're still going to play along with you. So once the game starts, our trivia questions will appear on screen. You will have a chance to answer the questions on your device. The winners of our trivia game will receive a signed set of Wings of Fire books. Winners are decided by the most correct answers and the fastest answers. So speed is important, folks. And at the end, winners will be contacted by Scholastic to get their prize. We all good? Ooh, I see all sorts of folks coming on the Kahoot.
Oh my God, this is my favorite. Look at these names.
I know, it's the best.
I think I saw like Polite Otter. That's amazing.
I love that. It reminds me of like people's excellent avatars on the Scholastic home base. There's some really, y'all are very creative. I appreciate your avatars.
I don't know if this is, like maybe these might have been just like automatically assigned by.
Oh, maybe they might.
It's happening so fast. I'm not sure.
It is indeed. I love it. Arctic urchin. All right. So when the questions start, Tui, you want to take the first one? You want me to take it? And we'll go back and forth. What do you think?
Sure. I'll do the first one. That sounds
excellent. Excellent. So I think we have about 8 questions. Okay, viewers? And don't worry. We still have a couple more secs for folks to get on Kahoot.it and put in the code.
Amiable turtle. That's the hero of book 9. He's an amiable turtle.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't see any snails. Okay. Here's my one complaint.
I like smiling lion, dandy zebra. That's a good one. All right, so everybody have your, and again, even if you haven't been able to sign on the Kahoot, it's fine. If you don't have an adult present or you don't have a device, you can just play along for fun with us because we would love that. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple more secs to join. No worries. We want everybody who can sign in to sign in.
Well, Sayantani, while that's happening, can I ask you any like, so what's happening next? So with Kiranmala, like, is there more of her, or you said there's this flying horse series?
Yeah, so the Kiranmala and the Kingdom Beyond has 3 books in it, and
oh wait, I'm sorry, there's a countdown happening.
oh, here we go! Yay! All right.
Question 1: Who created the Eye of Onyx? Was it Queen Scorpion, Jerboa, Darkstalker, or Blister? Queen Scorpion is red, Jerboa is yellow, Blister is green, Darkstalker is blue.
All right, quick. What's the answer, y'all?
This is a tricky one. I'm impressed that so many of you got it right. It was Jerboa. That's right.
I love that. Oh, and we have tallies coming up right here. Excellent. Okay, so the next question's mine. Let me see if I'm prepped to read it. How many sons does Queen Coral have? Is it red 32, yellow 24, blue 30, or green 21? That's a lot of sons, all of those numbers. So 32, 24, 30, or 21. That's a lot of sons, Tui.
I know.
Oh, look, so many people got the right answer, which is 32. I love it.
Very impressive.
I know. That's a lot of sons. It's a lot of peanut butter to buy for a household.
Oh my gosh. I think she makes them fend for themselves. When was the first Wings of Fire novel published? Was it red 2015, yellow 2014, blue 2012, or green 2017? So again, it's 2015, 2014, 2012, or 2017. Goodness.
Oh,
Nicely done. Yes.
is that right, Tui?
Yeah, 2012.
I love it.
I was writing it like right when my first kid was born, which was 2010. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Good job, guys.
Yay, they're doing great. Y'all know some stuff.
Impressive.
Okay. How many dragon tribes live in Pyrea? Is it red 5, yellow 7, blue 12, or green 6? So again, is it 5, 7, 12, or 6 tribes?
And this
dragons?
is just in Pyrea. This is not including the Pantala dragons.
Okay, so only in Pyrea. Yes,
Yay!
there are 7. Yay! People know their stuff. I am impressed.
Nicely done. All right. Who is the only queen to rule over 2 tribes? Is it red Queen Tsunami, yellow Queen Glory, blue Queen Andromeda, or green Queen Maze?
I like these names. They're the best.
I will say, I haven't used all these names. I might have to. Like steal a couple of these. Yay! It's Queen Glory. That is correct. Good job, everybody.
I love it. Legend Newt.
Well, and Witty Dolphin. Very impressive.
All right. Question 6. What is the title of the 5th Wings of Fire book? Is it red, The Brightest Night, yellow, Moon Rising, blue, The Darkest Day, or green, The Two Towers? So again, The Brightest Night, Moon Rising, The Darkest Day, or The Two Towers? Did people get it right, Tui? Is it The Brightest Night?
Yeah, it's The Brightest Night. Well done. And
Well done, folks.
the 5th graphic novel also coming out. That'll have that same name. So.
Yay. So 2 more questions left, folks.
Oh boy. All right, number 7. What physical trait do Nightwings have when they can read minds? Is it A, purple eyes, red, yellow crescent moon claws, blue color-changing wings, or green silver teardrop scales?
Okay. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bum, ba-da-dum.
That's right. It's silver teardrop scales. Good job, everybody.
All right, last question coming up, folks. What are humans known as in Wings of Fire? Are they muggles, red, scavengers, yellow, lunch, blue, or foragers, green? I'm digging those answers. Muggles, scavengers, lunch, or foragers? And they're scavengers, not lunch. Gosh.
I mean, probably some of the dragons would say lunch, but most of them. Oh, look at you. Good job. Oh, my goodness. Bluey, Bright Macaw, and number 1
is ba-ba-da-dum. Let's see. Legend Newt! Yay! And just like the Olympics, we have our own gold, silver, and bronze podium. Congratulations, everyone.
Yay, good job.
So thank you for your wonderful questions. Thank you for your enthusiasm and all of your Wings of Fire knowledge trivia. But I'm afraid to say that this is all the time we have today for our Wings of Fire session. Thank you all so much for joining us. We had so much fun connecting with you, right, Tui? It was
so much fun. Thank you, guys.